Well, hello there. I am the founder of Sirius Pureprophet, and we are the manufacturers of the least expensive, most efficient wind turbine on Earth. And I say that with an unabashed feeling. We are at a dangerous historical juncture. Energy prices continue to rise as personal incomes decrease. The public cries for relief all over the place. Nobody seems to be listening. With the current median U.S. household income around $40,000 and the average cost of an alternative energy system to replace the energy that everybody gets at about the same as their annual income, it's really out of reach for the average Jane or Joe. I think we can all agree on that. I moved to Brattleboro in 2008, and I live in what is termed a sacrifice zone. Sounds good. I believe it's kind of unreasonable to house people in what's called a sacrifice zone. As you head up I-91 and you cross over the Vermont border, there's a nice little sculptured sign with a nuclear waste can on it that says, VY, Vermont Yankee. Good luck with that. And, you know, I tell you, I listened to Jimmy Rogers yesterday, who, you know, I know he's just doing his mission, but the nuclear fission industry reports that its plants are a safe and carbon-free solution. Do not believe it. Mining of any sort is carbon-intensive. No one knows what cost will suffer in radiation, sickness, degenerative disease, cancer, unrest due to the mass of persistent nuclear waste. Clean coal, too, I'm sorry to say, is a myth. The costs in life, landscape, emissions, energy incurred in retrieval and sequestration are incalculable. James Rogers yesterday told us flat out that it would take 10 cubic miles of space to sequester the emissions of carbon from one of his coal plants. So, sorry. The battle for Coal River Mountain is raging on right now. Big Coal tells us it's okay to destroy what would be about the 515th Appalachian Mountain, risk another deluge of sludge like we had in Tennessee, destroying rivers, towns, farms. Another persistent lie is the case for a new national grid. No offense to anyone who's spoken so far, but the national grid, smart or otherwise, is a national security nightmare and a waste of energy. We do well to generate energy and grow food local to the point of consumption, just as Messrs. Edison and Graham Bell warned us 100 years ago when they argued against the national grid for electrification. Now, we can wait and hope that the electric utility monopolies will develop cheaper, cleaner electricity for us, safer electricity, and pass the savings on to us. But, you know, this seems unlikely given our experience in history. Relief must come to the people of America and the world, or we will fall deeper into despair, and our society will crumble in violent revolution. This may seem a bit dramatic, just the same. History tells us that this is what happens when you place the kind of pressures on society that we're currently under. And it's not about teabaggers, it's about regular moms and pops and working stiffs across the nation who are realizing somebody else still has food and water and heat. Now, the Green Revolution's Windmill, which I would hope you'd be seeing up here, but you can see a little model of it in the other room, is something that provides a relief valve for that growing societal pressure. Our goal is the provision of the least expensive, most efficient wind power or alternative energy, period, on the planet for worldwide energy independence. Now, most small wind solutions that you look out there, and there are some really elegant ones, cost between $15,000 and $50,000. They require a 60 to 100-foot mast and need a permanent foundation, which means you run into all sorts of permitting and NIMBYs and such. Now, our windmills, conversely, are small, roof-mountable. They require no permanent foundation. They are scalable to satisfy energy appetites, individual, municipal, regional, and industrial. A Green Revolution's windmill currently can negative net meter the average household in this nation for under $6,000 with no economies of scale applied. That's buying parts retail off the shelf. With economies of scale and a vertical supply chain, our goal is a price point below $2,000 so that we may reach affordable for most families in America. Our small, low-speed, bird-friendly turbine is scalable to any capacity of generator from watts to megawatts. It's actually stackable, one above the other. The mass does not interfere with the turbine, so we have the capability to produce as much torque as we like. We can turn any magneto. Developed a simple pizza box transmission with all of 9 parts. I figured if I have the simplest wind turbine, I might as well have the simplest transmission. Just pulleys and V-belts, simple stuff that you can buy off the shelf. There's nothing new about this except the implementation of existing hardware. Our rotor is 4 jibs. If you know how to sail, that's you know what a jib is. If you don't, it's the triangular sail at the front of the boat. You need to get out of the way or get knocked off. When it's in the wind, it billows. When it's out of the wind, you pull it into a wing so that you still get to keep going. Well, what this does is it takes these 4 jibs and counter-rigs them so that they constantly phase from sail to tack. Because of this efficiency, it only takes 2.5 miles per hour, or about 4 knots of wind, to generate our rated energy. And that's as opposed to 15 to 20 miles per hour for the average windmill out there. The most efficient ones out there among my vertical axis brethren take about 9 miles per hour. So we're actually good for about 85% of the world as opposed to the usual 15%. Now we're also, because it's self-balanced energy, vibration-free. So we're not going to shake the roof apart. The only thing you really hear is the wind. So we conquer the NIMBYs before they even get started. It's about the size of the average market umbrella that you'd place on a suburban patio, 10-foot diameter. And it can be any color you like, including translucent. I actually have artists who have said they want to make kinetic art out of it. Now, our primary tools of fabrication and materials, rather than using high-tech metals and rare earths and all that sort of thing, we're using textiles. We have one unit that has been spinning, pumping water in Darwin, Australia for 9 years now on the same set of local cotton muslin sails and made with bamboo spars, 10 years almost. And it's gone through Class 4 and Class 5 typhoons and hurricanes in the Indian Ocean. Now, our primary tools of fabrication are sewing machines, sheet metal brakes, and chop saws. So the skill levels that are necessary are not very high. This means we have the capability to manufacture in most any locale around the world, and that's my sensibility. I don't believe that it's reasonable to bring goods into a community. Oh, there we go. Okay. To bring goods into a community and to take away money. I think it makes more sense to manufacture everywhere you're going to sell. So I want to manufacture in 6 places around the U.S., 2 in Mexico, 3 or 5 in India, and on around the world, using local materials and local labor and doing what capital is supposed to do by providing opportunity and economy to people. And I think that is a good way to create peace by putting each other in our pockets. Because hey, what's the one thing missing from the Israeli-Egyptian equation? They're not sending sugar to Israel and getting Coca-Cola back. They're not sending cotton to Israel and getting blue jeans back. If they were, there wouldn't be an argument anymore. And you can do the same thing going north, south, east, west. It doesn't matter. As soon as you're in each other's pockets, it's all taken care of. Now, we plan to be a carbon neutral and hopefully eventually carbon negative business by using our own devices to power up our operations everywhere that we go. And because we're going to be manufacturing on such a regional basis, we have the capability then to avoid the expenses of long-haul shipping, which I think is something that needs to end. Now, ours is a social capital enterprise. If, like so many things in today's world, alternative energy independence remains the province of the financially fortunate, then our problems born of economic disparity will continue to rend the fabric of our societies. The despair between the haves and have-nots is an unacceptable, growing situation, and it all comes from the quest for maximum rather than reasonable profit. We seek a reasonable profit. We sequester 10% of those net profits to fund a Winds of Change Foundation, whose sole function is the distribution and installation of free wind turbines for water pumping, air compression, and electricity around the world.